of Taiwan is growing. If that happens, the U.S. has vowed to fight in Taiwan's defense. A battle between China and the U.S. over the self-governing island nation could result in devastating mutual losses, which is just one of the reasons Taiwan is a critical interest to both superpowers. Will Ripley joins us now with more. Hello, Will Ripley from Taipei. Tensions have been rising across Taiwan, the Taiwan Strait. Where do things stand now between China and the U.S.?
Well, look, the United States, under former President Trump and President Biden, has been selling Taiwan billions of dollars in weapons, more than ever before. They're trying to get weapons into this island so that it could defend itself potentially if China were to try to make a move. And you also heard the former president talking about he being able to prevent World War III. Well, President Biden, with this new submarine deal with Australia and the United Kingdom, is hoping that there will be deterrence in this region and underwater power to prevent China from making a move on Taiwan.
Chinese fighter jets screaming over its skies, military ships sailing off its coast, daily occurrences for Taiwan, living under the constant threat of a possible Chinese attack. Beijing's communist leadership claims Taiwan as part of its territory, despite having never ruled it. Tensions rising across the Taiwan Strait since Nancy Pelosi's visit in August, the first visit by a U.S. House Speaker to the island in 25 years.
We will not abandon our commitment to Taiwan.
Who can forget China's response last year, those days of large-scale military drills encircling the island, firing ballistic missiles over Taiwan? Analysts fear this may be repeated again next month. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen expected to meet U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
So are you saying that the United States would come to Taiwan's defense if China attacked?
Yes, we have a commitment to do that.
But the U.S. has reasons to worry about a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, protecting valuable semiconductor chips. Taiwan is a global leader in semiconductors, tiny chips that power everything from computers to cars. The island producing 70% of global supply. Defending democracy. Losing democratic Taiwan to communist China would shatter U.S. credibility in the Indo-Pacific region. Protecting U.S. alliances. Asian countries would face an even more powerful China, a heavily surveilled police state with little freedom of speech. The stakes are indeed high, but experts do believe there's reason for optimism.
Do you think the U.S. and China are headed in a positive, optimistic direction?
The idea that conflict between the U.S. and China is inevitable, I strongly disagree with that. Meaningful channels of communication between the U.S. and the PRC, that helps us minimize unknowns. It helps us minimize confusion and misunderstandings. And ultimately, that's good for Taiwan.
U.S.-China relations on a downward spiral since that suspected Chinese spy balloon bursting months of Beijing D.C. diplomacy. As two democratic allies, the U.S. and Taiwan get even closer. Taiwan's president and the third in line to the U.S. presidency meeting on American soil. As tensions escalate, all eyes will be on China. And where is this all headed?
When you look at the U.S. expanding its military presence in the Philippines, encouraging Japan to expand the role of its own military, this nuclear submarine deal, it is clear that the United States feels that deterrence in this part of the world is going to be crucial to prevent conflict with China. And China's rhetoric, Don, is really sharp. From Xi Jinping all the way down, China is blasting the United States. And it's apparently the external messaging matches what the tone is internally. They haven't reestablished those lines of communication since the U.S. shot down that spy balloon.
No, they haven't. And I mean, that's been a big part of this, is that they haven't had those conversations. We were just talking to Natasha about that earlier. And, you know, Will, we're seeing President Biden tout this submarine deal. It's not a surprise. They talked about this. They announced this 18 months ago was a big deal. Certainly then, now that it's coming to fruition. But all of this is also happening with the background of what everyone in Washington was talking about this weekend, which is China brokering this diplomatic deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you're seeing these power plays. The United States, is supreme when it comes to underwater power. So to have nuclear submarines now, they're going to be rotating in Australia. Eventually, in 25 years, Australia can start producing its own nuclear submarines. That changes the dynamic militarily here. China going to the Middle East, which traditionally has been a stronghold of U.S. diplomacy, and trying to broker a deal. They're not the first, obviously, trying to broker a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. But it is a message to the United States, the fact that they were specific and clear that none of the language would be in English when they were doing these negotiations. So that just goes to show that in and of itself. China's rising influence, whether the negotiations will be successful, it's also happening in Africa, where China is making economic investments. So it's economic and diplomatic power and military power, and you have the U.S. and its allies, and you have China and Russia and other authoritarian countries really gearing up here for this showdown, both sides trying to outmatch the other. Will it be deterrence, or could it evolve into something more? And where would the flashpoint be? Certainly here in Taiwan, it's one of them, but there are plenty right now.
Yeah, it's a scary look ahead, and we'll see where the influence game goes.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah.